A little bit of a preview for who our Sunday conversation is going to be with Hall of Fame pitcher John Smoltz. And I think John is a tremendous analyst. But you know what he focused on in this conversation? The mental side. So, Zach, allow me to play you a little clip, guys, for everything here of John Smoltz talking about the mental side of the game. The most talented guys end up being the superstars for whatever reasons, because they're not able to get past that human element or get out of their own head, so to speak.
Well, I think, as we look at computers, viruses can get in a computer, and if you don't get it out, computer's not going to work. And your mind works the same way. We go into slumps, and no one talks about the mental slumps that people go into that are real. And no one wanted to talk about it. I became kind of the poster child for an over-exaggerated scenario. Like, no one was laying me on a couch and had a watch and was TikTok, and it was none of that. He wasn't transforming into a pitcher I never could be. It was getting me back to the pitcher I always was. And what happens in sports, and I do this in golf now all the time, I'll tell my caddy, don't ever tell me, do not tell me where not to hit it, because your brain doesn't conceivably understand. If you say, don't hit it left, your brain thinks about left. It hit it left. It doesn't process don't. So everything that I did from that point on was a positive command on the mound. And I would work off of those mental strengths, because I was always mentally tougher than anybody in my age group, because I wanted to be. But then when you get in that slump, you figure, like, what's going on? And then you start working the word don't hang a slider. Well, you're going to hang a slider. I tell my catchers, if you want the ball down, tell me bury it down. Give me a command. Don't give me, hey, don't hang this pitch. So I think a lot of those things served me well for not only pitching the 3 biggest games of my life, but what I didn't tell you is that I prepared my whole upbringing of pitching in Game 7s. I pitched a Game 7 every day outside my house with a rubber ball and a wall. I tell people all the time that I created my own palace of, like, this is what it's going to be like. And I'm not into, like, if, you create it, it'll always happen. But if you do not think it, you're never going to believe it. If you don't believe it, you never dream it.
There's a lot I love to unpack right there. And that John Smoltz interview is going to be live as part of our Off-Script Sundays. And there's a whole hell of a lot of stories in there. But the first comment to start off right there, when computers get viruses, and on the outside, everything might look okay, but things start short-circuiting. Things don't work properly. The human mind's the exact same way. And look at what the Baltimore Orioles were that first month, Zach. And look across baseball. The teams that are really struggling, go look at their teams right now. Is it because that they're lacking talent? Some might. The Colorado Rockies are really struggling, but they're also mentally are in a pretzel. They're not in a good headspace. When you lose games, you're battling that sensation of, man, it feels like we suck, or I'm not playing well, maybe I suck, but you got to find a way to battle out of it. And look, hey, I love the fan bases everywhere. I don't think everything stays very positive, and nor do I expect it to. But as a player, you got to fight those thoughts, because as soon as you start thinking, I can't do something, you are screwed, Zach. One of those guys that I know in this case, you could look on his face that Mountie was not confident, that Mountie was looking for something. You could look on the other players of a frustrated Gunnar Henderson, at times maybe a frustrated or lost Adley Rutschman, but you got to keep showing up. You got to go back to work, put on your hard hat, and go do the damn thing. And that's why you're seeing an opportunity when teams can flip the script. And you mentioned Paul Goldschmidt, Zach. It's not a coincidence to me that Goldie is out there playing well to start this season. Goldie's always been a good player. Sure, he's getting older, but maybe he just needed to get a clean slate, reset his mind, and then the rest is history, Zach. So it's a good reminder. Don't sleep on the mental side of anything in life, specifically in the game of baseball.
Yeah, and I loved, him talking about telling his catchers and, just coaches, anyone he works with, like, his caddy in golf, I don't even want to think about that, because as soon as you allow those thoughts, you can talk about it, in baseball with, okay, don't strike out this at bat. Okay, we got to get this guy. I don't want to strike out. We can't strike out. Or instead, if it's, okay, put the ball in play. Goals, put the ball in play. We're hitting here. If you're telling yourself don't strike out, well, then you go after the ball that took it in the dirt because you see it at your knee and you're like, oh, that's a strike. I got to swing here. Instead of looking for your pitch going, okay, I just got to put this ball in play. I don't have to do too much. Just put the ball in play. Instead of doing that, you're telling yourself, okay, I can't strike out. I can't hit it to the right side. Can't hit it back to the pitcher. I can't hit this in the air. You start doing all those things, you're done. And especially in baseball, if you're sitting there thinking about don't strike out, just don't strike out. During an at-bat, you're going to strike out, because there's already too much against you for you to also be fighting yourself.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. I was trying to go back and find photos, and I found a photo of me actually, Zach, and maybe this is me also looking like a little bit of a hardo, but maybe this is also because it's throwback and we're talking about visualization, right? About how does this get perceived? And this was me. They said they wanted a headshot, right? And I don't know if this is like the headshot that I was looking for, but I mean, first off, a little bit more hair. I mean, it still looked, the jawline looks good. Obviously, we could talk about
a lighter
physical appearance, but that moment right there, like they said, hey, picture, smile. And that was the photo that I gave. And to give more context to this, that was probably one of the most miserable years of my career, both even professionally and personally, man. I had so much going on that I didn't give myself a chance on the baseball field. And it didn't have to do with physical skills, right? I'm not saying I was the most talented out there, but I had enough skills where I couldn't go out there and display that because of what I was allowing my mind to go down this rabbit hole. And there's just kind of an example. Like that, again, was a hey, Ryan, smile type of situation. Now, there is one thing if you want to give yourself a little kick in the ass, you can call yourself a name and be like, hey, just, for me, it'd be like, just fucking do it, right? Sometimes it's like that. Or it's like, hey, snap yourself out of it. But that's not being negative. That's just, hey, give yourself a little kick in the ass. Trey Mancini said that. Give yourself a little kick in the ass and don't feel sorry for yourself.